All right, there we go. How's it going, Mr. Mayhem? I haven't started yet. I was having some internet issues, but
oh yeah, something's going on with my shit too, man. I don't know what it is. So
yeah, I just plugged in straight in. So I'm gonna try to go live here. So you ready to roll? Yeah, I got live and they gave me some error, so I'm gonna try it again here real quick.
All right.
All right, here we go. There we go, live. All right, here we go.
From every strand on the line of your reel, to the rods, to the anglers, to the lures on the end of your hook, let's talk about those big bass here on Co-Angler's Corner with your hosts, Rob Welch and John Stallinger.
How's it going, everybody? Cajun Rob here. Hey, John's a little bit down under weather, so I got a great guy, probably more knowledgeable than I am, Mr. Jeremy May. Hey, Jeremy.
How's it going, folks?
All right. I get the man of mayhem right there.
That's right.
Sorry we started a little late. We had some internet issues I had to plug directly into. But anyway, we got a great guest tonight. He's fished the Opens. He's fished a little bit of everything, and he's had a good year last year, and he's on the rise this year. So, Mr. Cody Stahl, and we'll bring him on board. And so I hope y'all got some good questions lined up. He's definitely knowledgeable from South Georgia area, so let's bring him on up.
Hey, Cody.
Hey, sorry, man. My internet was like yours. It didn't want to cooperate. It kept giving me an error, so I had to plug in direct.
Yeah.
But it happens, man. It happens.
Cool. I appreciate y'all having me on. I really do.
All right, man. Appreciate you. But if you want to, just kind of go over your background. How'd you get into fishing? And then how'd you kind of get into tournament fishing, if you want to share that with us?
So really, ever since I was born, my dad had me in a bass boat. I mean, before I could even walk. And I started tournament fishing with him when I was about 4 years old, and just fishing some night tournaments and some tournaments on Jackson Lake around the house. And really, I kind of went from there. And eventually, about when I was 7, there was one tournament in particular on Jackson. It was a night tournament. My dad had me out there, and we ended up winning the tournament. And I had like 4 out of the 5. And
okay.
I remember driving home that night. Or not riding home. I wasn't driving then. I was 7. And leaving Barry's boat dock, I was like, man, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. Like, I want to try and go pro. And ever since then, I started my journey all throughout high school. Started a high school fishing team there, and then ended up going to SCAD. I got a scholarship to go there for their fishing team. And that really took me, once I graduated with my degree, and then I graduated to the Opens fishing as a co-angler, where I met Jeremy, and we ended up fishing together.
Cool.
And then I actually won one. I practiced with Jeremy at the James River, which he's a stud on the James River, by the way, if y'all don't know that. And ended up winning that event as a co-angler, and that gave me the funds to then transition into a boater that next year, and then went on and I fished one division as a boater my first year when I made that transition, and then last year was my first year fishing all 9, and then this year is my second year fishing all 9. So still trying to qualify for the elites, and I got my work cut out for me this year.
Oh yeah.
But you're in the mix, you in the hunt, man. You in the mix, you in the hunt.
Been doing good, man. I'm proud of you, my friend, and I've been following along with you. So best of luck to you. And if you ever come back through Virginia again, you always got a place to stay. So.
I know. I appreciate that, man. It's same to you. Come down to you fall.
I'll make sure you won't sleep on an air mattress this time.
As long as I got a place to lay my head, I'm A-okay with it. That's for sure.
Right. That's for sure.
Yeah. But, I know with these last 3 events, I think I'm sitting like 26th or 27th. I really haven't looked at the points too much, but I know it's a long shot to qualify with only 3 events left. But if I crack 3 top 10s, I'm gonna make it interesting. That's for sure.
Yeah. What's the what is the points cutoff as far as make it into the elites? Is it top 10 or top 5? How do they do that?
Just the top 9.
The top 9.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So I know I was close last year. I finished like 17th, I think. But this year I'm hoping to improve that. That's for sure.
Oh yeah. Heck yeah.
That's awesome, man. And that's a field of sticks there, man. So that's something to be proud of, just being the top 20 against all them guys.
Yeah, they are some phenomenal anglers. I mean, they are good. I mean, you can see the class of anglers that we had last year, how they're doing on the Elite Series right now. I mean, this year is going to be no different. I mean, they're going to qualify, and they're going to make their presence known next year. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
So I hope to be one of them.
Oh yeah, man. Hey, you're in the mix. You not right there, man. Just get a couple breaks. You're there.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully I do my job. That's for sure.
Definitely.
Just be patient, man, because good things, it takes time. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not like Rome. It wasn't built overnight. And I think another year or so under your belt, it'd probably do you some justice, get more experience in some different bodies of water, and things like that. So that's what actually would help me. Just being versatile. You know what I'm saying? Being able to travel and from north to south to east to west, pretty much, and just the versatility, man. It's that is experience nobody can take away from me.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
But keep grinding, dude, because it'll happen.
Absolutely. I mean, just looking at how much I learned from last year, seeing where I was at in my fishing, last year, and looking at how much I've learned and grown and fine tuned to this year. I mean, I can't even believe that, I did that good, last year. And I look back at, how I was last year. I'm like, dang, I'm a, completely different angler from where I was a year ago from now. And just knowing that, it's like, if I'm here, this year, where am I going to be at next year? So I know next year I'm going to be working on my consistency. That's for sure. And, I still got a lot to learn on. I know everybody does, really, because I think it was KVD that once said, it's like, if you're not learning, if you don't continue to learn, then that's when you start to drop off the map. And I kind of, really took that to heart, and over my entire fishing career, just trying to focus on learning as much as I can, every event, every time I go out on the water, every second I can. And I feel like I've gotten a lot better over the years, and I hope to, continue to get better. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, going back, your win, you said you won on the James River. That's awesome. That's a tough place. What do you think was the difference you winning as a co-angler? I mean, that's a tight field right there. I got experience in it. It's tight and hard to move up.
Yeah. So, I mean, I was really looking forward to that event because going to school in Savannah, I spent, 4 years at college fishing the Savannah River, which is all tidal water fisheries. So I was pretty familiar with, tidal water fisheries at that point. And really that, set up to be my style of fishing. I like, shallow fishing, 5 foot or less, flipping a jig, throwing a spinner bait and some dirty water. That's how I grew up fishing. That's what I love to do. I feel like that's what I'm good at. And really, it's like I feel like home there. It's like I feel like I knew what the fish were doing, and especially practicing with a hammer, Jeremy. It really, and some of the days that we had out there during practice was phenomenal.
Oh man,
we had a good time.
I was like, man, this is ridiculous. And that really kind of helped me get comfortable, helped me clue in, and really have the confidence to stick with what I know, and really grind out those bigger bites.
Absolutely. Got my old buddy at Barker Riggers chiming in and says, "What's up, fellas? Keeping them rods bent every time we can, man."
Right. That's right. Every second.
But yeah, it's amazing. Like you get an event like that, and like every bite, you get to the boat, everything clicks, and then the next event, if you get half the fish in the boat, it's amazing how one event to the others it just changes. I mean, you get just everything clicks, everything just rock and rolls. But man, congrats! That's a great win, a great start.
Thank you. Yeah, that definitely set myself up to be able to make that transition because I believe I was still in college at the time, and a college kid on his own dime. I was not pretty be able to be fortunate to have that event and get that I think it was like 20 grand. I think that really set myself up to make that transition because it was if I didn't clutch a win like that, it was gonna put me behind a year or so trying to get the funds up to make that transition. So I was very fortunate, and God willing, he blessed me last week. That's for sure.
Meant to be, brother. It's meant to be.
Oh yeah.
No, Jeremy, you been fishing here lately?
Dude, I fish every weekend. I'm out there grinding. I work 60, 70 hours during the week and take care of kids. And I fish. I fished the Virginia, a lot of the Virginia Elite 70 stuff and John Boat, a lot of John Boat series stuff. So, I'm in the practice mode still. I'm 44 now, but I'm still practicing. With the pipe dreams of making it to the elites one day or making it professional. But
Yeah.
I have some. I'm going a little different approach. I'm taking a little bit more time off of the big stuff, and I'm dialing in some techniques, especially the forward facing sonar stuff. I'm really just I need to practice. I figured that out last year before last in the opens where I got my ass kicked. Excuse my language, but I got my ass handed to me. And after that, I was like, you know what? I can't see spending all this money, right? And I'm getting the same results. Like I'm in the top 40s. I'll occasionally break that top 20, but it's average. So I had to take a reflection on myself and say, hey, this is what I need. I know I need to focus on this. I need to, focus on decision making, and that's what I've been doing, man. I've been really the John boat. It kind of it lets me fish more, right, than running up and down the lake, burning a bunch of fuel. And I catch myself fishing a lot more now, and actually learning, understanding the baits, the techniques, the rods, the reels, the lines, the action of lures, etc. And it has helped quite a bit. I think I made a top. I'm 20 in points this year for the Virginia Elite 70s, which is pretty much the top 70 in the state. Jacob Prosnick fishes it. Woo Daves. Some of those big hammers. They actually came from Virginia. They fish in this series. So, but yeah, other than that, man, I've been just keeping quiet and just learning, like you are. You know what I'm saying? I'm fishing and doing what I can.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Absolutely.
I seen those pictures when you built that John boat. The thing is sick.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I just upgraded it. I just put a brand new Honda 60 on it, a 4-stroke.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh, you're gonna be rolling with that thing.
Yeah, man. So I can't wait, dude. It's like it's been itching. It's sitting out there in the shop right now, and it's brand new. Just getting ready to drop it on. So hopefully in the next 2 weeks, I'll have it ready to go. So
Yeah, that was awesome.
Cool. Yeah, but John boats are growing. They got a couple of John boat leagues around here. I think one's it's 15 foot and 15 horsepower. So it's growing definitely.
Yeah. Ours is I think it's. There's probably several hundred John boats within I'm gonna say a 30-mile radius, right? And they all have these little cliques and these little tournament entities that they all compete against each other. Like they have the challenges of all the John boat guys, and it's a 20,000 acre lake, and you have like 100 John boats out there. It's like it's pretty crazy. It's like a bunch of gnats on a fly. So
dang, but that's a pretty cool shootout right there.
Oh yeah, it's fun. It's fun. It brings it kind of reminds me of my roots growing up. You know what I'm saying? So just getting out there, you're fishing. You're having a good time. You're fishing, doing a lot of power fishing on the trolling motor, covering a lot of water. But some of these guys have 3 units on the front of their boat. It's no different than a fiberglass boat. So
yeah. I think I actually fished a John boat tournament not too long ago. It was actually a while back in the 2D sonar days, and I remember fishing with a buddy of mine. We just followed a road bed out in the middle of the lake, with 2D, and just drop shot, and then found a little wad of them out there. And we only could use our trolling motor, while everybody else had their electric motors, and they all took off, and we were just wandering around out there on a trolling motor. Yeah, that was a good time.
Absolutely. Hey, we got a quick question. My buddy Marker Rigger says, since we have all 3 of you on here on Wide Open Wednesday, we're approaching the hottest part of the summer. What do you do on a day where you can't find them and you can't make them bite?
So
dynamite.
Yeah, I know. So my favorite thing to do is during the dog days of summer is right now I'm fishing Lake Eufaula in Alabama quite a bit, and I get out there and I try and scope them with a shaky head, offshore on those offshore ledges. They're all scattered out and everything. I'll a lot of time I'll pick one fish out and I'll just throw at them with a shaky head. And, man, I think it's bit, especially with that new big bite baits, Nicarama worm.
Yeah.
It's pretty deadly on a shaky head.
Absolutely. What about you, Mr. Mayhem? What do you do on the dog days of summer?
Well, I guess on the tidal fishery here, on high tide, I always fish like the undercut banks because they'll get way up under the undercut bank in that shade. On the wood, they'll get right up. I mean, shade lines. I focus on shade lines, even at low tide. If there's any kind of shade, it kind of it really congregates the fish right now. Especially the mouth of the little fingers, little creeks going in to some of the bays and stuff. There's any overhanging tree, willow trees or whatever, or cypress trees. I focus a lot on the shade. That's what I do.
Yeah.
There's sometimes I will go offshore. If they're not up there, I'll go out to, if they're out there, they'll get out there and suspend on the wood, right there in the shade lines. So.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I try to hit top water early in the morning, like a spook, buzz bait, and then I'll kind of, like you said, the creek arms. I'll kind of find a channel and see if they're hanging out on the ledges or in the ditch. And then if they're not there, sometimes I'll go to main lake points, check on the main lake points, like a big tapering point. But yeah, it can be a tough time of year. I mean, I understand, man. It can be a tough time of year for sure.
Here's one thing too I've noticed, and this is no secret, but the thermocline, right? And
Yep.
Depending on how your reservoir is set up, like we have Carr Lake up here, and we have the thermocline's really high in the water column right now. So usually middle of the day, those fish will get right above that thermocline. It's like 8 feet, and they'll eat top-water middle of the day.
Yep.
Buzzbait, top water, any kind of spook or anything. And your 2D, if anybody knows what 2D is, it's the old technology, I guess. You can see that thermocline really well on where it's staging at. Normally the fish are suspending up right above it or close to it, between there and the top of the water column. And if that happens, most of them, the fish are looking up, their eyes are on the top of their head, and they'll see it. And if they can get to it, they're going to eat it. So.
Absolutely. There's a lake here, local, Harrington. It's a really deep lake. There's no structure hardly. And the fish year round will suspend in the thermocline. I mean, if you get a crankbait, you have to get in that thermocline to get them to bite. So, that happens a lot there. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, it is weird. There's no oxygen down there, so that doesn't make any sense. So.
No, it's like the deepest lake in Kentucky. It goes 200, 250 feet. A lot of it. It's a weird lake. Yeah. But Cody, what's the next 3 events you got? You think where's the Northern Swing, or where you guys headed next on the opens?
Yeah, so we're right in the middle of our Northern Swing. So I actually just got back from Lake St. Clair, I think like last week or something. And then I'm leaving not next week, but tomorrow morning to head to Leech Lake in Minnesota.
Yep.
And then we come back. We're back home for 2 weeks, and then we head out again to La Crosse, Wisconsin, and then that's going to be our last stop for the Northerns, and then we're going to finish it up on Lake Hartwell in North Georgia.
Oh, cool! That'll be kind of a homecoming. What's a homecoming for you? Just about it.
Yeah, Lake Hartwell's been really good to me in the past. I'm really looking forward to it. I've spent a decent amount of time up there. The last event that I fished up there, I was not prepared, and I'm looking for a revenge for that one. Lake Hartwell's a phenomenal fishery. I really enjoy fishing there, and I can't wait to get back after it up there.
Yeah, them schoolers should be moving really nicely on the cane piles.
Yeah. So. It's going to be a good tournament. It's going to be a week later than what it was the last time we were there, and those schoolers should be firing. Excuse me. One of the things we're going to be dealing with too up there that is going to mess a lot of guys up is the turnover. That typically that time of year, that first couple of weeks of October, that lake starts turning over, and it mixes a lot of things up, daily. So it's going to be interesting to see how it sets up this year.
Definitely. But it's a stacked field, man. It's amazing. You look down the anglers, and I mean, you're going a bunch of former bass pros, BPT pros. I mean, you got a murderer's row there for sure, man, and you're hanging tough with them.
That in La Crosse, Wisconsin, that's like the Upper James River, isn't it?
Just a couple miles north.
Couple miles north and maybe a few rivers over.
Oh, all right. What river is it?
It's the Mississippi.
Oh, the Mississippi River. Gotcha. All right. There you go.
Yeah.
I'm not challenged, okay? So leave me alone.
That's a swim jig heaven up for them guys, eh? That's like a religion up here, I think.
Yeah, it is pure 100% river fishing. You're talking swim jig, frog, flipping, cranking, fishing, current seams, you name it. I mean, that's going to be heaven. I'm really looking forward to that tournament. I know my dad is too. He fishes as a co-angler, and he's chomping at the bit to go up there and throw a frog all day.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. I can't beat that, man. That's pretty awesome.
What kind of frog you throwing these days?
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with a spro popping frog, and even the Boom Boom Revenge, his frog. That's a really great frog too. It's I kind of do a 1-2 punch with both of those.
I got you.
I throw I throw a lot of the swamp lords.
Yep.
And then the gabachos, the popping gabachos.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love those things. So that's pretty much my 1-2 punch as well.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you showed me that frog whenever I was practicing with you at the James River, and you're harping on it. Then you're like, "Oh man, this is a great frog."
Yeah. Yep. So I go through them, man. That's for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, my buddy Marco Ruger says, "Yeah, they try to stay away from Rob's lure down there. Yeah, they hide off quite often in that lake." But Marco Ruger's, he's from like Louisiana. He's waiting from Jeremy's old stomping ground. Same river. I'm just the every end of it.
Oh yeah.
So yep.
Got you. Yeah, I'm just ready to get back out there and go fishing. I don't know about y'all. I'm trying.
Oh yeah.
So
yep.
I wish I could go every day if I could, but I
got home at 3:00 today, and I was like, I got a re-spool line. I got a hot mess right now in my tackle room, dude. I got rods everywhere, fishing line. I had to go through all my because we just came off the Potomac River, and we had as a heavy grass fishery. Like if you ever been to Potomac before?
Yeah.
And the grass has gotten so thick there, really thick. So I had to change a lot of the stuff out from the 65-pound braid down to my 30-pound, things like that. Change out some of my heavy stuff down to some fluorocarbon. Just getting ready for this weekend. So it's there's a lot to it, man. People don't understand like preparation behind the scenes.
Oh yeah.
From rod to boat maintenance to all the above, man. There's a lot involved. So.
Yeah, that is for sure. I think a lot of my buddies can attest that I'm the world's worst about piddling around with tackle. It takes me forever to get everything just right. I sharpen every hook. I tie every knot. If it's not a perfect knot, I'll retie it 2 or 3 times. I know one of my buddies, Mike Zambezi, he gives me such a hard time about tying knots, and he's probably dying laughing right now. Listen to this, but he, when I first started tying in the FG knot for my fluorocarbon braid leader, I was just starting out and I was rooming with him. And I would have to tie like 2 or 3 times to get it right. And he was giving me such a hard time. That was so funny. Now I'm a lot better at it. I can tie it in like 5 seconds, 10 seconds or something. But it was so funny. But yeah, he gives me such a hard time about piddling with tackle, because I'll stay up for hours, and if it is not just absolutely perfectly right, I'm gonna change it, and I don't want any hiccups throughout the day. So I know exactly what you mean.
Oh, absolutely.
And the worst thing is like,
and then plus you got to,
and you go to make a cast, especially on your crankbait rods, right? You go to make a cast, and you get like halfway through the cast, and you hear a little tick that hits the guide, and you're like, oh yeah, I know what that is. You're like, shit, now you have to put it in the box and grab another one.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, I always take a couple spools of line with me throughout the day of every size, so I can, if something like that happens and I don't have another rod I can steal the reel off of, I'll sit down there and reline it real quick and get back after it.
Okay, I'll be over there in a minute.
Yeah. That's what I do as a coach. Sometimes I'll take extra reels because sometimes I'll have a professional overrun or a blow up, and you only get limited. So I'll take actually an extra reel, like maybe with braid or fluoro or something, just something I don't have already on. So it does help.
Well, see, I'm bad because I got OCD somewhat pretty bad, and all my rods and my reels and my lures. That lure, I don't really have very many multi-function reels or rod setups. So, like my wacky rod, that's my drop shot rod. That is it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it could be pretty changeable, but that's just how I am. You know what I'm saying? So it's hard for me to change, especially when I'm throwing a small little 1.0 black label square bill, and I'm throwing a 7.3 with 8 pound test or something like that. It's hard for me to pick up any other rod, even though I might have an 8 pound test, a 7'3". It just doesn't feel the same. You know what I'm saying? If that makes any sense. So, but it's just one of those things, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, everything's got to be just right, especially when you're throwing those smaller baits. You got to have your gear and everything just right.
Yep.
Yeah, especially on a windy day. If you have a windy day, your stuff better be right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Been there, done that.
Yeah.
Now, what's so far this year? What has been so far this season on the Opens? What has been your favorite lake so far in the Opens?
Honestly, I'll probably say Ouachita. That was our second event. That was still early pre-spawn. It was still cold. And, I called them how I, called them growing up. I'm fishing dirt shallow and flipping a jig, throwing a spinner bait. It was heaven. I finished, I think I finished 12th at that event. And,
Sweet.
it was, I love fishing there. I was catching some good ones. I actually had a pretty terrible practice. Honestly, I was averaging like 13 pounds a day. And I was getting really, really lucky to catch one that was just close to 4. And, I was down there on the south end scoping just like how everybody else was. And then, I went and, up the lake a little bit and had the same luck. It was averaging like 13 pounds a day up the lake. And I was like, well, if I'm, come tournament time, I was like, well, I know I'm going to need, probably like 15, 16 pounds to, have a chance at the top 10. So it's like, if I'm going to catch 13 pounds scoping or 13 pounds, flipping a jig, I'm going to go flip a jig and throwing some big line. And that's what I did and end up, I weighed in, I think I had 16 pounds the first day. I ended up caught 2 4-pounders off the same blowdown. And I was like, man, this is awesome. Ended up catching some more threes, and it just went from there and ended up winning another good bag day too. And I barely missed the cut. I think I missed it by like 7 ounces, I think it was.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Damn, that's close.
Yeah. Can't beat a jig at a pre-spawn though, man. That's bread and butter.
Oh yeah. Oh man. As soon as that tournament came out and I knew, it was still going to be cold, I was chomping at the bits to get out there because I knew exactly, what I wanted to go do. And I really tried. I spent the majority of my practice, scoping and chasing those roamers out there over 60 and 80 foot. And, I went up and did my thing because I knew there was a certain time window that I had that practicing up the lake was going to be the most efficient. And so I saved, the one time when I went up the lake for that one period that I knew it was going to, if it was going to turn on, it was going to be that time. And I went up there, I only had like 13 pounds, but I saw a lot of potential. I really didn't fish a whole bunch, but, the fish I was catching were quality and they were where they were supposed to be. So, I went with what I was confident in, and I mean it worked out that week for me. I enjoyed it. It was awesome.
Oh, yeah.
I heard that. But got a quick comment here. My boy Barker Ruger says, so y'all saying y'all don't prescribe to the overindulging and the loose juice and kind of sort of tying with a bow knot and a prayer. Dull hooks don't bite you so bad, right? So, yeah, he's with you on the knots. Yeah, I've seen some guys kind of sling a knot together, then lose a fish, and bad feeling.
Yeah, that's for sure. I know when I was growing up, like in my college days, I had terrible issues with just breaking fish off and losing them. I said, no more. I'm gonna do everything in my power to stop that. I still have a couple of fish losses. Every now and then I break a fish off, and which everybody has those problems sometimes.
Yeah.
And I feel like that percentage of breaking fish off and losing them has gone down tremendously over the last couple of years. But it's still not perfect, and I don't think anybody will ever be perfect on that. But you gotta strive for perfection whenever you're trying to make it.
Definitely put the odds in your favor. Absolutely.
Yeah. During that Bass Opens that we fished on the James River, I told you about this. I broke off 2. I had a 5 and a probably 1 over 6 break off. Yep.
Oof.
And
that hurts.
That hurt me on day 2 because I was doing pretty good on day 1, and then day 2 came around and that damn knot. Well, I don't know what happened. It was breaking about this far from the knot. So I don't know what it was. So.
Yeah, I remember you telling me about that day. I believe it was in the same place you actually caught like an 8-pounder in practice. Yeah.
They were there, just a random fucking spot in like 4 feet of water, just some random, just like a transition spot going in and out of that creek. And they pull up there every year. It's like clockwork. And when they're there, you can catch them, load the boat pretty quick. But anyhow, I don't know what it is about that knot. I stopped tying that knot. It was that one knot where you have 3 tag-ins.
Yep.
You know what I'm talking about? Where you put it through, you spin it around, and then you pull it through, and you got a loop with the tag in, and then you got another one, you cut those tag ins off.
Yep.
I don't know what it is, but I kept breaking fish off and losing crankbaits and shit with it, so I stopped throwing it.
Yeah.
So.
Dang. Yeah, I remember as soon as you got back that day, I was like, "Man, you go fish that spot where you caught that 8-pounder at." He's like, "Oh yeah, let me tell you about this." I was like,
"Uh-oh."
Yeah,
that still haunts me, man. To this day, dude. I don't know, man. Just haunts me. But anyhow, I got a question for you, sir. What do you think? Do you think is going to change for the EQs next year? You think any of this live scope BS? You think they're going to doing any banning or adjustments or modifications or things or not?
Honestly, I don't think they're going to do too much. I think if anything, they're going to limit the number of transducers on their boat. And just limit it down to like 1 or 2. I know for a fact they're probably not going to ban it. I mean, I think the whole fishing industry would be very surprised if they did ban it. I don't think that's going to happen, especially with how much of a tool it is.
Oh, yeah.
If anything, I mean, they might limit the number of transducers that you can have on your boat, and they might limit the amount of screenage you have on your boat, and so you can only have like 50 inches of screening or something like that. Or I don't think they'll do number of units. I think they'll just do like screenage. But I don't think it's going to be too crazy.
I was reading an article yesterday on the BPT that they for next year, the 2025 season. Sorry, my kids are in the garage. Can y'all take it out there, please? You're going to the house. Thank you. Anyhow, for 2025, the BPT, they're going to reduce the. I think you can only use your forward-facing sonar for 1 period of the entire event.
Yep.
Per day. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
That was kind of weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the first I've heard of it.
Yeah.
Yep.
My buddy Justin.
There's your boy Justin Barnes saying the hammer himself.
He's the one taking everybody's money on you follow.
Oh, heck. Nothing wrong with that. Now, have you heard anything? I know they've had a lot of co-angler shortages on the Bass Opens. Have you heard anything on that front for next year? Is it going to be business as usual or anything you've heard on that?
Man, there are so many rumors going around about the Opens, whether they're going to get rid of co-anglers completely, whether, they're going to keep the co-anglers. I've heard both, honestly. I've heard a lot of people talk about they're going to get rid of them. Nothing's confirmed right now. I've also heard the complete opposite, where they're going to keep the co-anglers. So nobody's really not going to know until the schedule comes out at the end of the season with the rules. Because there's still a lot going on with them. I know there's probably still adjusting and figuring out the schedule. So there's a ton of rumors, but honestly, nothing's set in stone about it. It could be the same exact way it is now next year. Still co-anglers, still 9 events, still same format, same everything. And it just in the same time, it could be completely different next year. So there's just no telling with everything going on with the industry and what's to come for next year.
So as an EQ angler, do you have a posse that you travel with every for all 9 events that kind of helps to do some of the costs and things like that, or how do you travel?
Yeah, so normally we travel in a group. It kind of honestly it just rotates out. We got my dad. He actually travels with me as a co-angler. He's fishing all night as a co-angler, and he's leading the points right now. He's a hammer on the co-angler.
Wow.
Yeah, he's a stud. And so he's traveling with me, and then we have another co-angler, David. He's also a stud on the co-angler side, and he travels with us for the centrals and the northerns. And then on the southerns, we've had Justin. He was with us at the Santee Cooper event, Justin Barnes. And then at the next one, I can't remember who stayed with us. I think I know my buddy Jonathan Dietz. He stayed with us a few times, and it just kind of like alters on, who has plans and different sort of thing. But I know for the next 2, we got me, my dad, and David. And then on the last event, our whole family is going to come to that event. And
cool.
My fiance, she's also going to come to that event as well. And my fiance has actually been a huge help for traveling with me and my dad, because she's been a trooper, and she's helped us, cook meals and stuff during the week. And her cooking's amazing. So coming home to a hot, delicious meal has definitely been, phenomenal. So big shout out to her.
Oh yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Well, dang, we're going to have your dad on Tuesday on the Co-Anglers Corner show, man. If he keeps leading the points like that, tell him we got to have him on the show sometime.
Yeah, he loves to talk on a microphone. That's for sure.
Perfect. There you go.
I was actually thinking about next year, actually signing up for all 9 of the after my other schedules come out with the Virginia Elite 70s and the state team. So once their schedules come out, if there's not really a lot of overlap and there's an opening, I'll probably jump in as a co-anglers for all 9 of the EQs if it's possible. So
cool.
Heck yeah. Well, shoot, let me know, because hopefully I'm not fishing the opens next year. That's the goal. But if I am, let me know. You're more than welcome to travel with us. That's for sure.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, my it's kind of a ongoing joke or with between me, Hank, and my dad, because my dad he's not much for the microphone. He likes to just not say much. He just likes to catch them and leave it at that.
Yeah.
But he's probably loving me talking about this right now.
I heard that.
So, anyhow.
But well, Cody, what is your kind of, if you go to the lake, never been, what is kind of your confidence bait or confidence technique? What do you love to do? If you had a choice, there's biting all over the lake. What is your favorite technique that you'd like to catch them on?
Man, I love to go get in the dirt, flip a jig, throw a spinner bait, swim jig, a frog, and that's and even a square bill, depending upon what time it is. It's like if I can catch them on the bank, I'm gonna go catch them on the bank. That's what I love to do. But here lately, it's like I've been scoping a lot, because to be traveling all over the country like this and be competitive all throughout the year. There's only one guy that really does it well. That's John Cox, really. And
he's hard to beat, man.
He's solid.
Yeah, but I I've really, utilized, scope a lot this year. Really, like up shallow when they're, spawning in, out deeper. And honestly, I used to be terrible, offshore fisherman before scope. And I've really, since moving down here to Eufaula and everything, I really learned a lot just being able to watch the fish and see how they act and, learning where they go, using the scope. And you know, I really feel a lot more comfortable offshore and knowing what to look for. So, I mean, obviously, anytime, any place I go, I'm always going to go to the bank first, and then bounce out from there, and try and just go where I need to.
Absolutely. Now, I've heard some guys saying the fish are kind of they can hear the pinging, so they're having to cast further and further. Have you found that to be true, or what have you, in your experience, what have you found out on that?
Yeah, I can absolutely see that. I mean, even, especially like late in the season, offshore fishing, these big schools, on Eufaula, I've noticed it. Even just last year when scopes, only a year or two old at that point, where really everybody's got one. And I found that if you leave that scope pinging on them, it's going to just break them up because there's been a couple, like when I was, experimenting and learning how all these fish react and how they set up and how they, act just sitting there by themselves. What I'll do is, I'll scan down the sledge. I'd find this, group of 20, 30, however big the group was. And then I started noticing every time I pull up to them, I would see them just they would sit there for a second before I even cast. And all of a sudden they just they start floating up and then start, looking towards the boat. They start spinning around away from the current and looking towards the boat. And so when I really started putting the pieces together about they're listening to that ping, what I would do is I would pull up to them, I'd get them lined up. And so to back up, whenever I would see them start to do that, they were really hard to catch.
Right.
And I was wondering if that was the reason why they were hard to catch, or they were just hard to catch in general. So I started pulling up. I would just pan the scope. I'd get it lined up. I'd see them, and I'd just keep panning and leave it turned out from behind the boat, or I'd cut it off or whatever. But as long as it wasn't pinging on them, and I'd start catching them. I'd catch them, doing the same stuff, doing the same exact cast. And I tried this on multiple different occasions. And, that was, obviously that was later in the season, but really just all these roamers that you're seeing too. I'm starting to see them as soon as you ping, start to ping on them, they'll go from floating in, 10, 15, 20 foot of water over like 60. All of a sudden they'll just start swimming down, and they'll just go down to the bottom and just swim away.
And that's something that I got clued in this year. This is some top secret stuff that I put a lot of time in. And I figured it out. Is on my John boat, I got a Garmin and I got a Lowrance, an active target. My dominant one is the LV34 for my scoping or whatever. So when I start seeing them, they go to the bottom. I'll switch over to my active target. So there's a bottom separation difference. Lowrance has got that part figured out 100% from the Garmin, and I'll switch over to the active target. And when they go to the bottom, I'll catch them when they do that, because you can't really pick them off the bottom very well. You can't see them on the Garmin's as well as you can see them with the Lowrance active target. Yeah. And I'm telling you, it makes a big difference, hands down. So maybe something to look at, if you haven't dabbled with that enough, something to look at.
Cool.
And I'm telling you, my catch ratio went up when I was out there scoping. So
yeah, absolutely. I know exactly what you're talking about. I actually have a active target too on my boat. I don't run a Garmin, and that's one thing I've noticed too, is that Lowrance has a little bit better bottom separation, and just like when they're absolutely glued to the bottom, and even in just a little bit of stubble of grass when it's really hard to see them on the bottom, I've noticed that active target makes a difference there.
But I think in brush piles, and I think in structure, the Garmin for roamers, I think the Garmin actually does a better job identifying the size, the type of fish it is, and things like that. So that's why I use it. And they're, I have a purpose for both of them. And I mean, I tried using the Garmin exclusively. But again, I was having some issues with bottom separation. And then I went to the, active target exclusively. The bottom separation was great. I still saw the fish, but they weren't, I was catching other random stuff that, that the Garmin would have told me or showed me otherwise, if that makes any sense.
Yep.
So
yeah, I definitely see that too. Running that active target, that active target's beam is super narrow, and it's really hard to, whenever you're panning, it's like you can very easily, if you're going too fast, you can very easily just miss them altogether because it just goes by, the beam's so narrow and it just goes by too fast. And also too, it's like with that active target, I've noticed how those fish are positioned to the beam makes a huge difference in being able to see them, because I've noticed if that fish is faced away from you and that tail is to you, you just get a little bit of haze on the reflection of the beam. Well, and I think it's because of how that beam is able to just, it doesn't have any really hard returns facing back to your transducer. Versus if that fish is faced to you, you can see him a lot better because it's got his head, and the width of his head a lot better with more of a blunt return versus the tail where it's just tapered. And I've been able to notice that, not only do you have to look for those super hard returns with that active target, you also have to look for those super fuzzy, like just barely visible returns as well. That's just swimming through the water column, because when I started figuring that out, I started looking for that, and I noticed that I would see a lot more, and I would just start throwing at them, and they would turn, and I would see how big they are. And actually, there's one time in particular that I remember it was barely visible. It was really fuzzy, and I tried to line up on it a couple of times, but that fish was just straight faced away from me and just swimming straight away, and at like 60 or 80 foot. And I threw at him with a jerk bait and actually caught him. And that fish was like 6 or 7 pounds, and I could barely see him on it because he's big. And as soon as he turned to eat the jerk bait, I was like, "That's a big one," know. And that really clued me in. Just like I really have to pay attention to not only the hard returns, but also I got to look for the barely visible fuzz balls as well.
Yeah. Well, what I found out with that situation, something similar is on the Garmin. Is a lot of people don't know this one either. There's more juice coming out. Is if the Garmin's only got a 22-degree angle, and if you pay attention to on the right side and the left side of that angle, if you scan fast, or if you scan kind of and then go back to it again and just kind of just like ease over, you can see probably about 50 degrees, but you have to look at the shadows. If you look at the shadows, you can see if there's fish moving into your cone or not, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I didn't know if y'all knew that or not, but that's pretty cool, because especially on some of these lakes, these Suffolk lakes, these impound reservoirs, we get a lot of schoolers in there, and that's what I'll do. I'll sit there and I'll just look around, and I'll look in those little blind spots, as I call them, for the shadows coming in, what direction they're coming from, and then I can just kind of pan over to them, so I start seeing their faces or start seeing them moving into the cone, and then I can follow them around a little bit. You know what I'm saying? It really helps. So
cool.
Yeah.
That was some juice right there, guys. That's for sure. Oh, yeah. That's pretty cool.
It's just time in the water, man. Cody will tell you that. It's just time.
Oh, yeah.
You find out, you get comfortable with your ambiances and the things going on with your electronics or your tackle, whatnot, and then you just get comfortable with it and you understand it, how it works. So just again, time in the water, you can't beat it. And
absolutely.
Absolutely. I think the most favorite use I've got out of my active target, my forward facing sonar, is just being able to watch them. Not even catching them, not throwing at them, not anything. Just watching them, seeing how they how they act naturally, how they move naturally without being messed with. What times of day they moving around or sitting still, or whether they're coming and going. It's like when I did this a lot, on Eufaula when I first got, active target, just learning how to offshore fish, because I've never been able to put the pieces together until I had that forward facing sonar, being able to physically see them down there and learn what's going on. Is, I would pick, like the lead fish or just like a spawning fish or something, I would just, find a fish that's relating to a piece of cover or a ledge or anything, and I would just sit there and watch them. And I would come back multiple times throughout the day, never casted this fish, and just watch them, learn how they act, where they're set up throughout the day and how the sun's positioned. And even like on these schooling fish, I learned, I would come back to them since they're, pretty much there for the majority of the summer in some places. I would just sit there and watch them, multiple days in a row and just see. It's like, okay, they're, pulling water, they're not pulling water, it's cloudy, it's sunny, the wind's blowing. And I would just, learn and just watch them and watch them. And that's really helped me understand. It's like, you can, if you fish it, my old mindset fishing shallow, it's like, okay, I'm going to fish down this bank, and if I don't get bit, I'm gone. And, I've always known that it's like fishing shallow, growing up that and having my dad teach me and everything, that there's, bite windows shallow. Well, when I was started fishing offshore and trying to learn that transition, it took me so much longer to learn that offshore, because that wasn't my confidence. I wasn't sure if I was on the right baits and, right angles, this, that, and the other. And that's really just helped me understand what's going on exactly, no questions asked, what that fish is doing throughout conditions and all of that. But, if a lot of guys, they get caught up in catching them so much, they don't spend the time watching them. And that you can learn so much by just watching them instead of catching them.
Yep. Absolutely.
They do some weird things, man. Like I never even thought, you know what I'm saying? So you see some things out there, especially the bait. Like the bait amazes me around them. Like you'll have 5, 6, 7 pounders sitting right in the middle of the bait pile, right in the middle of the bait school, and you don't even see him in there. But he's in there.
Yeah.
So.
Wow. That's crazy. We're about 10 minutes out. Cody, you want to just mention your sponsors or anybody you want to, we kind of give you the floor here. You want the floor for a few minutes, so feel free. Go ahead.
All right. Yeah, real big shout out to my sponsors. They really helped me out this year tremendously. I've been, working with the GSM group this year a lot, and they brought me on with, the procurement of big bite baits, and they're a phenomenal group. I mean, it's been a really great pleasure to work with the GSM guys. I've made, they're some great people, and they're a really tight-knit group. They're pretty much like family, and it's been a real pleasure working with them and working with Big Bite, Bill Lewis, Buckeye, and really like Cyclops Lighting. They're a phenomenal lighting company. Some of my, I'm a huge night fisherman, and you got to have quality lighting. And I've been really, really impressed with some of the lighting that Cyclops Lighting has. And, I got some waterproof spotlights that I have, and they've been rechargeable. They've been phenomenal. I really fell in love with them. And not only that, it's like big shout out to Alex Rods. I've been with them it's been close to 10 years now, ever since I was in high school. It might be more than that. I can't remember off the top of my head when I actually got on with them, but it's been a long time. And they're just phenomenal rods. I absolutely love them. And I, wouldn't throw anything else for a long time. And they, my favorite flipping stick, hands down, is a Alex Rods Hammer 7.3. It's a 7.3 heavy, and it's by far my favorite rod. So if you're looking for a better, really good flipping stick, you need to check that rod out. But also too, I got on with Phoenix and Stahl Marine. They're a really great group to work with. I started running a 721 Phoenix this year, and it's been a phenomenal boat paired with a Yamaha, of course. I love my Yamaha show, and that paired with that 721 Phoenix is phenomenal. It rides great. It's super quick. It's agile. Just the layout of it's awesome. And my favorite thing is rigging boats myself. That 721 is super easy to rig. I mean, they really cared about who's going to be rigging this boat when they designed it and the layout of it, and just being able to run wires from the back of your battery compartment all the way to the bow, and it just be streamlined. Nothing's in the way. I mean, it's such a relief. I mean, I really enjoyed that boat. it's been really great. Just running all year. It's performed awesome and big stuff, little stuff, super skinny stuff. And I've run that boat in a couple inches of water. It's phenomenal. And also too, Waterland sunglasses. I've been running Waterland sunglasses for I think probably 2 or 3 years now, and they're pretty great.
Outstanding, man. That's a great group you got right there.
Yeah, I got I've had a lot of support over the years, and are really great, great families, great, great support, great sponsors, and great products, really, because I really care about the stuff that I throw and the stuff that I promote. And I wouldn't be promoting garbage, that's for sure, because I know I'm putting my name behind it. So
I'm the same way, dude, because I'm very loyal to my all my sponsors as well. So it's just, and they all know that I've been around for a very long time, and I don't change because I'm comfortable with it. I know it works phenomenal, and it's not a bunch of junk. You know what I'm saying? So
absolutely. And it's great, man. You have your dad traveling with you as a co. I mean, that's great, man. I mean, that's outstanding right there.
Yeah, he's really enjoyed it. It's been awesome just getting to see him, how much joy he's got from traveling all these places and experience all these new things. And it's been phenomenal. I know we give each other a hard time a lot, but it's really great. It's pretty enjoyable to have Dad out there and travel with me. I know once if you get out there and you travel, for all these 9 tournaments and all those days on the water, if you did it by yourself, I mean that would get old. It's like after hearing a lot of my buddies, fishing the Elite Series and how they're missing the companionship of the Opens and being able to have practice partners and buddies to hang out with and everything. It's like I really gained a real thankfulness to be able to have my dad travel with me. That's for sure.
Absolutely, man. And great memories, man. You share you and your dad. I mean, that's outstanding, man. Can't beat it.
Oh yeah, we've had a lot of great memories and a lot of time with him yelling at me whenever I'm running into small water, running into some skinny stuff and putting him in some bushes a couple times. He's probably dying laughing right now.
Probably. Hey, that's his dad. He's got to bust your chops as well. That's Dad's job, man. I mean, it is what it is.
It is. He does a pretty good job of that. That's for sure.
I got to get off here, man. I got to go in the house. I got to do some things with the kiddos and get them ready for bed, etc. So it's good talking to you, Cody, Mr. Cajun Rob. We'll see you guys next time, my friends.
Hey, appreciate it, Jeremy. Glad to have you on, man. Right. Anytime you want to come on, just holler at us. But I appreciate you, buddy.
Yes, sir.
That was a pleasure. Oh, man, it's been a treat.
Yeah, definitely, man. Definitely. Thanks, buddy. All right. Bye-bye. All right, see you, man. But hey, man, that was a great show, man. You and Jeremy shared a lot of juice about the garbage. That's stuff I never thought about. So thanks for sharing, man. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. It's like one thing I love, and that's talking fishing. When I get into the juice, it's really enjoyable. I can sit here and talk fishing all day long, 24/7. So.
Oh yeah, that's me, man. I work fishing all day and then talking at night, so I can't get enough of it either. But man, we really appreciate you, and we'll have you on. We'll have this show on YouTube. See if your friends or family wants to replay it or look at it. It'll be on there. And let's say we thank everybody for tuning in and liking, commenting, and sharing. And hope John you get to feeling better. John wished he could be here, but he had some health issues today. So, but he's getting better. So. Everybody have him on your thoughts and prayers. And I said, Cody, we really appreciate you, man. And I hope I see you on the water sometime.
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. I really appreciate your time and having me on. I really enjoyed it.
All right, man. Same here, man. But I said tight lines, and we'll go ahead and get out of here. And I said, I'll catch you on the flip side.
Yes, sir. See you later. Appreciate it.
All right, man. Thank you, buddy.